Good afternoon, everyone. Here's another process video, and this one does not start with a photo of what products I pulled because I didn't pull any products. These are things that I had out on my desk that I hadn't put away from doing previous layouts, so I just utilized them. I know I want it to start with this paper here that's in the Daydreamer pad, but I didn't like that little cluster of clouds on the top, so I'm trying to find another paper to be that top portion to replace it, and I knew that bright magenta paper that you'll see, I want it to be a little bit of a border, that one right there on the right hand side with the white stripes on it, because Reagan is wearing a shirt that has like a magenta pocket like that. So I wanted that to be just a small border around the edge, and I think I put that entire cluster onto a white piece of avalanche cardstock because I did want that border to be so small. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just assembling everything. I'm taking about 1/4 of an inch off on both sides. I'm going to adhere that down onto this white paper, and then I'm going to cut all the other paper down to have that magenta border. So that's what I'm doing right here. And I really like the way that that turned out. I liked how this paper had some lines at the bottom to do your journaling, and that's part of the reason I wanted to utilize it. So I went with this tone-on-tone pinky peachy paper with the hearts on it to be that top strip. And then I didn't want any of the seams to be exposed, and I wanted to add a splash of color. So later on I go searching for paper that I can use in strips to cover both those seams at the top and the bottom. These photos are 3 by 3, and I knew I wanted them in a row, and they're just a series of Reagan jumping in a bounce house at a party, and she had the bounce house to herself for a period of time while the kids were doing a piñata, and so I just took some photos of her and her different faces that she was making when she was doing it. So now here's where I'm looking for a paper that sort of brings in all the colors, and I went for this beautiful floral one. I wanted one to go across the top there, but then I decided I didn't want it to cover the pink border I made, so I ended up cutting it down. I thought I did. Maybe I don't cut it down. Maybe I put it there and then I realized I wanted to cut it down because it does end up cut at the end. Oh yeah, here's where I'm like, okay, I gotta cut a little bit off. So I do both sides. Oh, nope, I think I cut a new piece because I ripped it when I was tearing it off. And then I just mark it and cut the other side. And this is about an inch wide strip. And then on the bottom, I just literally take 1/4 of an inch, if that, to just make a strip on the bottom to add a little bit of color and to frame it. Just like that. And that's going to be the basis for my layout. I knew I was going to incorporate some frames on top of those photos, but you'll see that a little later. I'm using some glossy accents to adhere that because it was so thin I didn't know what other adhesive would really roll on there perfectly. Now I'm just getting my layout in order, figuring out what I want to do, and I'm showing you here that off camera I stitched that paper on. What I did was I did a zigzag stitch on that top, and I'm just sealing it off in the back so that the threads don't come undone. And then I added a die cut from the Dear Lizzie Daydreamer collection that says Love Love XOXO, and I just did some single stitch rows in it in just a haphazard design. And that was all the stitching that I did on this layout, and again it's an aqua thread because that's what I'm obsessed with right now. Looking at my layout, figuring out if I'm going to use any more of those dies, not really sure where. And then here's where I shut the camera off for a second to go digging, and I pulled out 3 frames. 2 of them are from a previous Maggie Holmes collection. They're the fabric frames, and then one of them is from her most recent style board collection, and it's like a chipboard frame. But I put the chipboard one on the the right hand photo, and then I put the 2 fabric ones on the left because I wanted that pink fabric one in the center to break up the 2 neutrals. And there I'm just cutting off a little edge of the picture that was being exposed after I put on the frame. Using glossy accents to adhere them down, wanted them to be pretty flat. Sometimes I like them lifted off the project, so I just staple them on, and other times I want them a little bit. This was a little bit of a cleaner layout, so I didn't want it to be too bulky or have too many layers. And that first frame on the left says produced by, and then the one on the right hand side just says processed by and then has like a brand. So now I'm taking a look at these Heidi Swap, Color Wash series, so Pink Paisley Color Wash, and seeing if there's a frame or a flag banner I want to put somewhere on this layout. And I'm really liking that one. I like the way it's curved and I only want to use a little part, and I decide to finally adhere it down at the bottom. Just playing with all my embellishments. A lot of this is stuff I didn't put away from my last haul, so I'm just taking a look at it, seeing where I want to use it on this layout. That flare is from the Love Notes collection from Crepe Paper. It's cream and it has like a chevron aqua heart in it, and I got that in a design team package, and so I wanted to use it. And these are some really old bows from Maggie Holmes. That one's a tone-on-tone pink polka dot, and I'm going to add that pretty soon to the cluster at the bottom. But first I wanted to add a little bit of washi. These are one's from Freckled Fawn, and it's a zigzag aqua and white striped, and then the other one is like a lemony yellow one, and it's from Recollections from Michaels. So now I'm just adding some of that yellow washi as well, because I wanted to bring out the yellow in that Love Love die cut piece from Daydreamer collection. Now I'm taking a look at some of the other stickers, seeing what I want to do. I know my title is going to go on that upper right hand side, but I'm not exactly sure what else is going to go on this layout, so I'm just taking a look at some of the embellishments that I had out. Okay, so now I know I want to add a few little banner type things on the upper left hand side. The first thing that I chose is this little fabric tag from a Basic Gray collection. It's the Hey Girl collection, and it says Pretty. And I end up cutting it in half, and I sort of regret doing that because it started to fray, but it's okay. It doesn't look too bad. And then that yellow banner is a sticker from the Daydreamer collection, and I think I cut it into a banner, and it says what does it say? It's a day. It's a fill-in-the-blank day, but I put the pretty next to it so that it meant it's a pretty day. And now I'm using these gray foam thickers that I got in my last rack from I believe they're the Crepe Paper Stylus collection, and I started going crooked there, but I want to spell out Bounce House, so I'm laying that out right now. And I just thought that they were a good scale to put on this pink piece of heart paper, because they filled it in and they weren't as small as some other thickers in my collection. And at first I put in a hyphen, but then I thought it was too much gray, so later you'll see me put some enamel dots in between just to add a little pop of color. And the title of this layout is supposed to be Bounce House Fun, but later on I go searching for letters to spell the word fun underneath Bounce House in that floral print, and I really like what I came up with. Now here's where I'm grabbing some cut and paste enamel dots, and I grab one large or medium blue one and then two small pink and yellow ones to be the center there, and you'll see them closer up in some of the final photos that I show. And once again, there's my coffee in the way. And now I'm deciding how I want to cluster things around the photos. Whenever I can't figure out something, like I was having difficulty with the banners in the upper left-hand corner, I just leave it and move on to something else. So that die cut piece is from the Daydreamer collection, and then I end up knowing I want to add some other little clusters of hearts there. I add a little bit of dimensional, but then I don't like where I put it, so I had to remove it and replace it with some other ones. I add that flare right there, and now I'm searching for any other types of, oh yeah, I do add one of these buttons that came in the Daydreamer collection. It just says the days of the week on it, and I add that kind of below the hearts to the left of the photo. So then I couldn't think of what I wanted to do next, so instead I just did my journaling at the bottom, and it just says that this was Ray's second time in a bounce house. She absolutely loved it, and there were times where she was able to jump alone, and you could tell she was really excited to let loose. And I'm writing my journaling in pencil. I sometimes do that instead of pen just because I like the gray tone and I just like the look of it. So now I'm looking for some sort of thicker to use. I think I got up out of my desk to get a thicker to use to write the word fun, and I end up going for these Amy Tan ones, and I just love the way it looks. It's that nice teal color, and it really brings out the teal flowers that are in that floral paper. And I add an exclamation point too. And it also matches the threading color of the zigzag thread that's sewing that floral piece together. So now I'm going back to making my banner, and I'm still not sure where I want to make it. I think I end up going farther to the left. Yep, I do. And now I'm just going to fold that fabric piece over, but I felt like something longer needed to be in between, so I just cut off a little piece of blue paper from that paper pad. So this is a Daydreamer paper, and I just made it into a flag, a very narrow flag. And then I add that on top, fold it over, and I staple it on. Oh, I thought that something needed to go across horizontally, so I find a little embellishment here on the sticker sheet after I add the hearts, and I cut it into a fishtail, and then I use it on both sides of that little flag. You'll see it right now. It's this little gray piece. I make it into a flag banner. I cut it in half, and I let it go across the top. And I like that much better. I felt like it grounded my vertical banners. And that's where it started fraying. And then now I'm going to scatter some enamel dots all over in the different clusters of stuff that I did. Oh, and I'm off camera, I didn't realize it, but I'm adding some enamel dots to the little cluster with the fabric bow. And there I must have been off camera, I used teal ink to stamp ups and downs. I thought that was cute from Allie Edwards because she's bouncing up and down. And I did my same stamping technique where I stamp it 3 times when I only ink it once. And now I'm just adding a little tag at the top of that right-hand photo, and I stamp "You Are My Fave" on it. So I'm nearing the end, and this is one of those layouts that just came together really quickly with stuff I already had on my desk. I hope you guys have been enjoying me doing these process videos. I might be a little slower in doing them coming up soon because I did get a different job position or promotion, and so I'll be busy. But I'll have some photos here at the end for you. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.